This location here I've been visiting for the past few months numerous times, and one of the birds I've been photographing, kind of like a mini project if you like, is the common terns. Now there's only 2 or maximum of 3 common terns flying around here. Well, the beauty of this pond is it's quite a small pond, and that means that if the birds are here and they're flying around, then because it's so small, I've got a better chance of being close enough to the birds for photography. The common tern, absolutely fantastic to watch. Amazing flyers, so graceful, flexible, can change direction in a split second. Fantastic to watch. The Arctic tern is very similar. The main difference I find, it's easiest to see, is the beak. So if you look with the Arctic tern, you find the beak is entirely the same colour, kind of reddish orange. With the common tern, there's actually a black tip. So if you find a black tip on the end of the beak, then it will be a common tern. And this pond here, they're just doing the typical thing. They catch small fish, and they probably catch other aquatic, like mollusks and larvae, nymphs, things like that. But I usually see them catching very small fish. And what they'll tend to do is kind of do circuits around the pond. And I've watched them do it numerous times. They'll do like a whole circuit, and then when they see something under the water, they'll stop. They'll maybe kind of jink in midair, turn around, and eventually dive, close the wings in, dive into the water. And they're not always successful. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. Very challenging to photograph in flight again, because they can suddenly stop and change direction. Sometimes they will hover as well, so it's fairly common they'll stop. Maybe they'll kind of turn around, they'll do a little bit of a hover, and then they'll go into a dive. In terms of photography, I often seem to go for the more difficult option. Why go for the easy shot when there's a difficult one available, right? So here I could take standard shots of the terns in flight, and yes, they'd be rewarding, it'd be fun. But what I had in mind was to do a backlit image. So in my mind, I wanted to photograph a common tern coming out of the water with water droplets backlit. And if you know me, a lot of people who know me will know that I really enjoy backlighting. I love that quality of light. So that was the challenge that I set myself. Now here works very, very well. Looking across here, shooting, this is where I'm shooting towards the trees, towards the darker background, and that was reflecting in the water, so it meant backlit that the water droplets should show up well with the dark reflections behind it. Now this is very difficult to do. Technically there's so many things you need to pay attention to. The main one really was that I needed to have enough sunlight. To do this in overcast light just wouldn't work as well. I wanted to have relatively strong light that would really come through the wings and the water droplets to really highlight it. So I was shooting in the evening, kind of pointing towards where the sun was going to be setting and trying to use those dark reflections from the trees in the water for the backlighting. And the first evening I tried this, I got a few shots, and I did manage to get some diving shots, I think, just leaving the water with the water droplets. But one of the real problems is if it's not calm enough, that's a big thing. If it's not calm enough, then you don't get all that dark reflection, you start getting lighter reflections in the water, and that just never works as well. So I got a few images of the bird leaving the water with water droplets. That's the image that I had in mind. What I really noticed one evening was just the quality of light in itself. Particularly one day I was shooting about 9:15, maybe 9 o'clock, and the sun was just about to go down behind those trees, and the quality of backlighting was just absolutely amazing. It was really like golden light, and at times I was almost shooting directly towards it, and I could just see how that was striking the birds, how that light was coming through the wings. There was times where my shutter speeds were slower as well, and it kind of almost had like this effect of painting. It was like painting with the light, and I just absolutely loved that. That is something I want to do, that I've been trying to do since. I've only got a blurred shot of it so far. So the idea is to try and get the body fairly sharp, but to get some movement in the wings, again, kind of like painting with that golden backlight. Also, because I was shooting almost directly towards the sun at times, I had some crazy lens flare. This shot isn't sharp, but again, it's just giving me ideas for the future of what I can do with the light. Is it good? Is it bad? I'll leave that up to you. So yeah, that became quite exciting for me, just the quality of light on the birds. And now it wasn't so much about getting a specific action, getting a specific picture, it was more about using the light, and it really became like a study in the light as well. So I came back, I think I've done about 6 evenings here to try and get some more images. Sometimes it's been really quiet, so I've had very few opportunities. The other thing as well was when the light really dropped. When the sun had dropped behind those trees and the light levels were so much lower, I thought, why not try and do some slower motion kind of panning blurred shots, because you've nothing to lose. Instead of just putting the ISO higher for a higher shutter speed, why not try and do a slower shutter speed with a reasonable ISO? So I tried that, and that came out with some really interesting results as well. Again, the quality of light, it was shot under a clear sky, so I think it has to be under a clear sky. I think that's kind of the key to this stuff. Really early or at the end of the day, you want to have a pretty clear sky above you. So I did a few of those motion shots, again giving me more ideas for the future. And then the other thing I saw probably excited me the most, no, not quite as much as the painting with light shots, but what really did excite me was a few times the terns will go a bit higher. Usually they stay reasonably low. Sometimes they'll go a bit higher, and on this occasion one had broken the horizon, and I was tracking the bird and I saw it just kind of, you can watch the body language sometimes, it just kind of changed direction, you could tell it was going to dive, and I managed to fire away as the tern dropped, and I got some shots, and these were really, really interesting. So this is kind of like taken after the sun had gone, almost at pure sunset probably, and the quality of the colours, so I'm kind of shooting towards sunset, because it's a clear sky again, the back's just reflecting the light, and this is something that works really well with white birds that have white backs, or light grey, like with the common terns, kind of slaty grey. It just reflects that colour from the sunset really, really well. So the colours in that shot, I was very excited about that. This shot is massively cropped. The bird is actually right at the bottom of the frame because it moves so fast and I just couldn't follow it quick enough. I only just got it in the frame, so ideally I'd have a lot more space underneath it. I could create a bit of that in Photoshop if I wanted. It's a bit of cheating. But again, just to see how the light was hitting that and to get the behaviour and light at the same time, I think is just one of the best things you can do. There is nothing at all wrong with having an image in your head and really, really going for that, but at the same time try and stay flexible. So if you see something along the way and it's really interesting, it's exciting you, it's inspiring you, then stick with that, go with that, don't stay focused on that one thing. And that's really what photography is all about, evolving with things, and if you do that, I think it'll make you a much better photographer. Thanks for watching everyone, I hope you're all doing well, everyone, non-subscribers and subscribers, humans and non-humans, and I'll see you somewhere in the video sometime soon. I'll see you in the next video sometime soon.